Good morning, everybody. What is it? It's January 11th, 2024. And we've got the Ask Me Anything about to kick off. I've got all the questions open from the private Facebook group and all the questions that get posted on BTWB in the Linchpin squad. And let's just dive in. I think if I move at a good pace, then I can get through all of these. Yesterday was hectic. Just, life, 3 kids and stuff like that. This morning was hectic, so I really have not had a chance to look over these questions and formulate amazing, responses. So you're going to get almost like shotgun style. We're just going to go through them quick and I'll give you what pops into my mind right off the top of my head. So with that being said, here we go. Okay, let's see. From Caleb L. If you're in a situation where the choice is sleep an extra hour to get close to 7 hours of sleep or get up early and work out, which would you choose? I'm a new dad in the middle of a cross-country move and am struggling to get in workouts. Whew, man. First of all, Caleb, you're in a rough situation at the moment, my friend, right? Not like you needed, somebody says, great programming ebook. Appreciate it, Coach Mike. Thank you. Get the ebook, CrossFitLinchpin.com. Click on the tab marked ebook. It's free. So Caleb, you're in a rough situation, my friend. You're a new dad. Being a new parent is rough enough. And you're a new parent in the middle of a cross-country move. Yikes. So it sounds like to me, you're just in a rough phase at this moment. Cross-country move. So probably for this, this is a relatively short deal, right? I assume that you're going across the country by plane, train, or automobile and not by covered wagon. So, this will be a relatively miserable but short period of your life. So for that, you may want to prioritize the extra sleep. If you weren't in the middle of a cross-country move and you weren't a new dad and you just said, my life is crazy. Should I sleep an extra hour to get 7 or should I get up early and work out? Now, if this is for the rest of your life, I might lean towards try to get up 3 times a week and work out. But you're just in a rough phase, so maybe prioritize the sleep. But, spoiler alert, as you very well may know if this is not your first kid, the new parent deal, lack of sleep deal, that could go on for many months. And so personally, I wouldn't choose to not work out for many months. So even in that rough phase of life, our youngest child's 2.5, and she was not an easy little one. I just chose to be tired and get into the workouts and scale them to the best of my ability. Trent B. Good morning, Pat. Good morning, Trent. New to the program and was noticing in the app the warm-up is different from the coach's notes. Just wondering which you'd recommend to use for a class setting. Okay, so what Trent's talking about is on Thursdays and Sundays, which are rest days for all of us following the individual programming. If you're a gym owner and you own a gym across the world, it's programming 7 days a week because you just never know when members are going to roll in. And so you also are running a class. And so for the gym programming version of Linchpin that gym owners have, there's also coaches' notes each day, like a lesson plan to help coaches run and organize that. And so some of the warm-ups in particular that work well for an individual in their garage may not work well in a class setting trying to share gear in limited space. And so for the gym programming for Linchpin, the lesson plans and the coaches' notes are wonderful, and I would lean towards that resource because they're more geared towards a group setting and running a class. Valerie L. For snatches or power snatch, I'm not quite to the point where I can lift the bar with bumper plates on it. Typically, I go as low as possible from the hang snatch, but is there a better way? It feels so much different than when I pull from the ground. So what you could do if you're not quite at the point yet where you can have bumper plates on, right? You're still building your strength, but you want to have the bar in a similar position each time. Let's just say, you can measure how, off the top of my head, I can't remember the standoff of a bumper plate, so how far the barbell would be off the ground. But, that number is easily Googleable. And then what you could do is have blocks on each side or stack plates on each side or something where you can set the barbell on it. And now the barbell just is that exact distance off the ground as if you had bumper plates. And you can just pull from that position and be totally good to go. And a lot of people do that and it works quite well for them. Okay, from Mark S. Will you start programming with more rucks and sandbags now that GoRuck is the sponsor of the games? It seems like sandbags especially would be a great variance tool, so I'd be very curious to hear your thought process and why they will or will not make more of an appearance. I'm also aware of the Linchpin saying effective not popular, so I wouldn't be shocked if we just stay the course. Thanks, coach. So first part of the question. Since GoRuck is now a sponsor of the CrossFit Games, will I start programming more rucksacks and sandbags? No, not at all. And that's just because I don't care who the sponsor of the games is, and that's nothing against GoRuck. I mean, doing that would kind of be like just a cat chasing its tail. Like CrossFit corporate found a deal that was made good sense to the community. The money made sense, and so they signed the paperwork. That, to me anyway, would be an odd reason to change what we're doing if what we're doing is work. What if they signed a deal with somebody else? So we're not going to just chase whatever CrossFit corporate happens to do, and who does or doesn't sponsor the games honestly is of very, very little relevance to what actually works with everybody out there for long-term health and fitness, strength and conditioning, etc., etc. So no, we program a ruck every now and then, and I've done a lot of rucking in my life, and that's not what got me fit. And now somebody might take that as hating on something. Like, that's just not the case. I'm very familiar with rucking. You get outside. That's fantastic. You're outside. Way too many humans are just indoors too much, myself included. So there's tremendous benefit to that. You got loading on your body. Like, there is benefit to it. But that's not, like, you're not covering the overwhelming majority of the gross movement patterns that you need to, that are critically important. So if we're doing that, we're not doing something else, right? Everything is a trade-off. And so that's not a trade-off that makes sense if I'm actually trying to propel, long-term health and fitness forward for everybody and make people as fit and fast and strong as possible. And for the sandbag stuff, we've done a couple videos on that. Sandbags are great. I got rucksacks and sandbags in my garage. And I grab them every now and then. And we program from a minimalist perspective, and that's just what works. Not flashy, not whatever, what works. And what is smart and what doesn't unnecessarily do anything to your knees, back, and shoulders that you're going to regret later in life. And grabbing a sandbag instead of a barbell or whatnot every now and then, everyone's totally authorized to do that. And with a little bit of understanding of what we're doing and the intent of the workout, it's a relatively easy decision. And you could grab that sandbag any time that you wanted. The overwhelming majority of people have barbells and dumbbells and kettlebells and things like that. And so that's where the program is going to lean. And then my 2 cents is to educate the community about programming, gross movement patterns, the stimulus, the whole 9 yards, and help them understand that scaling's cool. You're always authorized to make the decision that you want to make, especially if it helps you keep with the programming. And if we got cleans one day and that sandbag's looking great, grab the darn sandbag. I do that every now and then. Sandbag cleans are fun. D-ball cleans are fun. We had people, when Grace came up recently, there's a bunch of people that chose a sandbag or a D-ball on that day, even though it wasn't specifically programmed, because they just knew you're always authorized to do that. And so that's kind of how we lean at Linchpin, is, educating the community, authorizing the community to do that, and then no matter what you got in your garage, you can have fun with it. Let's see. Corey C. I know that it can vary depending on the workout, but when crunched for time, do you have a quick go-to standard warm-up, or is the warm-up non-negotiable for you and you modify the workout due to time? Do you just perform the movements involved with lower weights, etc., etc.? So I have to warm up. I'm at the point in my life where if I don't, that's not a good decision. So hopefully the day, the schedule, and time allows me to do the full warm-up. I feel the best when I do that. Every now and then, life doesn't care, schedule doesn't care, and I got to modify or do something quick. And so in those days, what I will probably do is, let's say there's 2 or 3 movements in the workout. I'll probably just start doing small rounds with low numbers of reps, like over and over again, of those particular movements. Slow, getting loose, getting the joints through a full range of motion, grabbing like a light pair of dumbbells off the rack, an empty barbell, move a bit, grab a heavy pair of dumbbells, move a bit, grab a heavy pair of dumbbells, and just kind of gently move for about 5 to 7 minutes, grabbing heavier and heavier dumbbells until that's kind of a built-in warm-up, and then hopefully feeling good enough to start the workout. And if I'm in that sort of a situation, I may also have to accept that workout's not going to be ideal because the warm-up wasn't going to be ideal. So maybe I'll drop the loading, or maybe I'll be like, hey, I thought this was going to be a high intensity day. Well, that doesn't make any sense right now because I had to shortcut the warm-up. So today is going to be a moderate, a kind of for time, a not for time day. And that's going to be a good way to do it as well. Belinda G. What's the percentage split of males to females that do Linchpin programming? Just curious, when I look at the leaderboard in BTWB, the list of men seems to never end. My experience at my old gym was that there was actually more women. But where is it at Linchpin? And any thoughts as to why? So at Linchpin, it's about 2/3 men, 1/3 women. That's people subscribed and following out of the thousands of people that we have. That's where that shakes out. Now that may or may not be reflective in how many men or women choose to post their score on the leaderboard for whatever particular reason, even though it's 2/3 men and 1/3 women. Maybe just a whole lot more men like to post and plenty of the women don't. Because with thousands of people out there following Linchpin, there's plenty of women that could be filling that leaderboard. So for whatever reason, why they may or may not choose to post as much as the men do, it's a sociological question that I don't have the answer for. All right, let's see. These are from the BTWB squad here. So the next question is from Eric M. Pat, is there a piece of specialty equipment such as a landmine, yoke, etc. that you don't regularly plan under the assumption that most people won't have one in the garage that you wish you could program more often? If the answer is no, is there a specialty piece of equipment that you just flat out love and have a lot of fun with and just don't program? Glad to hear your hip is doing much better post-surgery. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. So, toys are fun. So there's two interesting things that coexist, right? Linchpin is by its very nature a minimalist strength and conditioning program. Minimalist with meaning reducing everything that's unnecessary, from gear to movement selection to whatever. Get rid of all the fluff and the nonsense that you don't actually need. Do the huge, meaningful, cleans and squats and deads and sprints and pull-ups and jerks, and you do the stuff that really moves the needle and has transference to so many other things that just might be the flavor of the day this month for whatever it happens to be. Some influencer posted something and now everyone thinks they need to do fill in the blank movement, and that's en vogue for 3 months and it goes away. Or if you're doing movements that have transference, you're going to be able to do that. So we focus on that. So with regards to the gear, gear's fun, right? Especially if it keeps you engaged. We put in landmine twists every now and then in the accessory works. Those certainly make an appearance. But I would say, sleds and prowlers, it's just really fun to push sleds and prowlers. You've got to have the terrain and area to do that, depending upon what your neighborhood thinks. Not going to do well in an apartment, obviously. But those are fantastic and great. And you mentioned a yoke. Sleds and yokes are what jumped to my mind. And yokes are fantastic. They are great. And the interesting thing about a yoke is, arguably, you are going to be able to place more load on your body with a yoke than anything else. It's going to be more than you deadlift, more than you back squat, more than you whatever. And you can just have that lighting up your central nervous system from head to toe as you try to walk that thing 50 feet or whatever it happens to be. So yokes are fantastic. So if you've got a yoke, or if you're in, your situation allows you to have one, I think that'd be a great purchase. But it's a big, bulky, awkward piece of gear, but it's super cool. Mason M. How are you doing on your nutrition plan this month? Do you feel a difference? And do you celebrate your wins? So, for anyone who's unfamiliar with what Mason's talking about, we have a Linchpin lifestyle going on for 2024. Each month, there's a voluntary, free challenge for Linchpin members. It's posted on Thursdays and Sundays in the BTWB app. And the first one for this month is nutrition-based, and it gives you a lot of leeway as to what you want that to be. But my version of that this month was to eat no processed food, to eat just clean. I wasn't concerned about portions or whatnot, just the quality of the food. How am I doing? I'm doing great. I'm not doing perfect. That's why I didn't say that, but I'm doing great. Because the other night, my little 2.5-year-old girl and our two boys, 14 and 12, they wanted to go out for a family pizza night, and we've got a great pizza joint. And at some point in all my kids' lives, hanging out with their parents is not going to be cool. And so they did want to hang out with me and their mom. And so we went out for pizza. You better believe it. And I had a delicious, what do they call it? It's like a bacon cheeseburger that they chop up and put onto the pizza. Like a bacon cheeseburger pizza drizzled with some sort of a barbecue sauce, a sweet barbecue sauce. It was delicious. It is the total opposite of what the nutrition challenge is all about, and I have zero regrets about that night. No, it's just one night. We're 11 days into January, so overwhelmingly great. And I know that perfect is the enemy of the good, and so I'm okay with doing that every now and then. But overwhelmingly, it's going really darn well. Like, for example, this morning for breakfast, I had 2 eggs, egg whites, a chopped up orange, chopped up strawberries, and a glass of water, my coffee. So I'm eating like that the overwhelming majority of the time. So far, so good. Corey W. What made you want to be a SEAL? Also, why do you think so many others who are also in the same boat, like ex-military, favor CrossFit over other methodologies? I don't know the percentage of people from Mr. Hepner. What's up, brother? Hope all is well, man. I don't know the percentage of people, it seems like a lot of ex-military or former military and law enforcement favor CrossFit, and I can't speak as to why that might be. I like it just because it works, as simple as that is. It's no fluff, and in my humble opinion, if something worked better than... I have no particular allegiance to CrossFit, if that makes sense. I have an allegiance to what works. And so if something else worked better, I'd have stuck with it. If when I started doing CrossFit it didn't work that well, I wouldn't have stuck around. I would have done something else until I found what actually worked really, really well. And so what made me stick with it was the fact that it was effective. And it didn't waste my time. I don't have to be in the gym forever. Your first part of the question as to what made me want to be a SEAL? There's parts of that answer that are nice and warm and everybody can rally behind. I'm debating right now as to how much of it is appropriate to share here on Instagram. And then there's parts that, looking back, I'm not super proud of, to be honest with you. What made me... so the short little answer is, I didn't come from like a big military family. My grandfather was in the Navy. He was on a ship, and he didn't care about the Navy. It wasn't like there was no pressure in my family at all to be in the military. We didn't have a big military family, but I looked up to him, so maybe that played a bit of an influence. And then I didn't know really anything about the Army, the Navy, the Marine Corps, the Air Force. This was before the internet, by the way. I just had books at the library, like the Encyclopedia Britannica. And so I just started researching all the branches of the service and figuring out which one maybe I wanted to do. And for a long time, I thought I wanted to go into the Marine Corps. And then I learned that some of these branches of the service had special operations, special forces, things like that. And I was like, what's that? And I started researching those, again, with no particular allegiance. And I learned about all of them. And when I was done with my research, it seemed to me anyway that the toughest selection process, from what I could tell, was for the SEALs. And I was like, well, I don't know, if I'm going to do it, I guess I might as well choose that one, right? And then on top of that, I was a little fat kid, quite frankly. overweight, not particularly athletic, and, loved ice cream and Oreos. And so it was kind of motivation for me to make a big change in my life and go down that road. And so that was motivating as well. So those are the warm, fuzzy reasons as to why. And there are some other reasons that are probably more appropriate for in-person conversation and coffee, but yeah. All right. So that was that. Let's see, where do we leave off with this? Okay, next question is from Dave D. On today's poll of the day question from Bing, I had a choice between which training I preferred, HIIT or functional fitness. This was an interesting choice, of which I chose functional fitness, as CrossFit defines both characteristics of this statement, but I felt more affinity to this option for long-term fitness. After making the choice, he attached a screenshot here, and the screenshot Dave completely disagrees with. My question is, what are your thoughts on how HQ can build the methodology, taking ownership to change the wider media perspective? At Linchpin, we know what we do, we know why it works, but somewhere the message is lost. Okay, so basically Bing has a question of the day, a poll of the day, which I was unaware of. And the question was, do you prefer HIIT, high intensity training, or functional fitness? David D chose functional fitness, and then the answer that he got from Bing he did not like. So let me blow up the screenshot and see what Bing said. This is what Bing said. Functional training and CrossFit are both aimed at improving overall fitness levels, but they differ in their respective emphasis on high-intensity workouts versus practical movements for daily activities, and their respective approaches to programming structure versus customized workouts. Functional fitness is typically for those wanting to improve their overall health, while CrossFit is designed for athletes looking to take part in competitions or enhance their abilities in other sports. Gotcha. Okay, so basically Bing thinks that HIIT training is for everybody and CrossFit is just for elite athletes and things like that. How to change that? You got me, my friend. And that's not to dodge the question. That's because that question also could have been posted 10 years ago. That same thing has been around for a decade, even with messaging and cool stories and look at everybody. Older people with, chronic illness, like look at these amazing wins, and for some reason that answer still pops up on the internet. So why that is, I don't know. It doesn't concern me that much, in all honesty. It's, taking care of our community, and our community spreading the word to other people seems to go just fine. And, I guess AI needs to improve a little bit. All right, here we go. This is from Chris R. From Monday's workout, which was a row, 5x500 row, I believe, wildcard was the bike. The rest was as needed. But for the limited equipment option, running was prescribed at 3 minutes. Why was the rest period prescribed for the runs and not the rows and bikes? So it's probably rest as needed, for the wildcard and the row. It could have been 3 minutes as well. Quite frankly, a lot of people probably would benefit from resting 3 minutes or maybe even a little bit more on the row or the bike. And usually for the run, it's rest as needed. So I might have accidentally just put 3 minutes in there. I programmed that a while ago. So exactly why it was 3 minutes for the limited equipment option that day when I looked at everything else that was going on, I can't recall that off the top of my head. My apologies. But rest as needed is overwhelmingly how that goes. But if you were looking for a good rest period between those intervals, 3 minutes would probably treat you really, really well. And I think it's Linchpin Conversations number 140, if memory serves, that is specifically about rest periods during interval-based training. And so when it says rest as needed, if you want to go ahead and educate yourself on that and choose the option that works best for you, then Linchpin Conversations number 140 would probably work well for you. All right, let's go back to, we've got some from the BTWB squad. Here we go. Phil J. As a newbie to Linchpin, I look back at the Linchpin tests and I would like to do quite a few of them. Do they ever come up in programming? If not, how, when should I work them in, and what should they replace? So yes, they do come up from time to time. So, I can't tell you with what frequency, and there's 14 Linchpin tests, and we won't do all 14 over the course of a year. I choose a Linchpin test based upon when I'm laying out the 4-week block of training. If on a particular day after I've done, the needed analysis to figure out what we need on that day, whether it's below parallel, overhead, is it heavy, is it short, is it sharp, is it locked, is there maybe a Linchpin test that fits, and when's the last time we did that Linchpin test? So all of those things come into play as to whether or not a test will or won't get programmed. Not that, we just got to knock them all out in a year. So I can't say how many will be programmed in, for example, 2024. So if there's just one you've got your eye on and you want to knock out, go ahead and knock it out. You might see it again, you might not see it, it might take a while. And some of them, we don't really program as workouts. They are more exactly that, tests, something like Linchpin Test 13, which we're going to do as an annual challenge, which has 5 miles of running and 210 burpees in a weight vest. And so, yeah. All right. Catherine D. How to approach a bulk. I've got my nutrition nailed down, but want to optimize my training to add muscle mass. Can you recommend accessories to add to Linchpin, working on slower, heavier weights with the programming, or other options to consider? So for bulk, Catherine, if you get your nutrition dialed in, because you got to be eating enough as well, then for the bulk, it depends if the bulk you're looking for is just sheer size, or is the bulk you're looking for more bodybuilding aesthetics sort of a thing. Bodybuilding aesthetics sort of a thing, the nutrition will most certainly have to be dialed in, to be leaning out to a degree. And you're going to be doing hypertrophy work, a lot of single joint, bodybuilding style things to get that. Now, if you're working on just straight bulk, like you want to bulk up, then again, you said you got your nutrition dialed down, which is great. Make sure you're eating enough. And then I would be doing compound lifts, your cleans, your squats, your deads, your presses, pull-ups, great things like that. And if you do want to, again, get some size on there, it's not going to be the 1s, the 2s, and the 3s. You're probably going to want to be doing 8 to 12 reps, things like that, to just actually get some bulk on your body. Now, don't just do that. Variance is your friend. But that would be my quick, short opportunity for you right there. All right, where do we leave off with these? Arena F. I went to a CrossFit gym. We used to do weighted sit-ups, but I haven't seen weighted sit-ups programmed. Is that a good substitution for those that don't have a GHD, or does the weight make no difference? Not a bad, that's not bad. Again, variance is a wonderful thing. It's tough to exactly replicate what's going on with a GHD if you don't have one, but that doesn't mean that you're going to be shortchanged in your midline or whatnot, especially given the fact that we do GHDs, L-sits, V-ups, ab mat sit-ups, hollow rocks, toes to bar, knees to elbows, you're going to be covered, for sure. But on a particular day that's got a GHD, and let's say if you don't have a GHD, a substitution can be V-ups, be a great way to go. But if you had the desire and the setup or whatnot to do some weighted sit-ups and you wanted to do that in place of the GHD, I got no drama with that in any way, shape, or form. That'd be good to go. And that also relates back to, it was an earlier question, I can't remember what it was now, but basically about how a big point of what we do here at Linchpin is the education of the community. Why we're doing what we're doing, the gross movement patterns that we're trying to hit or train that particular day, the intent of the workout, the loading, the rep range, all that kind of good stuff. And then if you do or don't have a particular piece of gear, you've got your strength and conditioning IQ has been developed to the point where you're like, you know what? I don't have a GHD. I know I could do V-ups, but you know what? I want to do some weighted sit-ups. Those are going to be great. And I'm not going to be shortchanged. And I want to do them because they're going to be fun. I haven't done them in a while. Awesome. You're great. You're in there. Or it was grabbing the sandbag. I want to grab a sandbag today instead of the barbell. Totally good to go. Let's see. Kate F. I'm interested in why you program ring rows as the scaled option for rope climbs rather than ground to standing rope climbs. I usually do the scaled workouts and we do ring rows a lot, which is fine, but I thought the ground to standing rope climbs would add some more variance, so sometimes I substitute them in. Beautiful question, and actually plays off exactly the previous question and the other question about the barbell and the sandbag. So let's say that there's rope climbs involved. There's probably going to be at least 3 different options given in the workout of the day. So let's say the prescribed workout has rope climbs in it. There's a really good chance that the wild card option will cater to people that need to do upper body pulling, but maybe don't have rope climbs yet or don't have a rope. And so to work on their upper body pulling, there's probably going to be pull-ups programmed in the wild card. And it will probably say pull-ups any style, meaning strict, band, chin over bar, chest to bar, like, replicating, and then I give more detail in the daily video as to how you should implement that any style description. But the wild card will probably have pull-ups in there. Again, replicating the stimulus, don't have rope climbs yet. Let's develop some grip strength and some upper body pulling that will get you down that path. Then there's probably the scaled option after that. I'm assuming people didn't choose the wild card, which had pull-ups in it, maybe because they don't have pull-ups, and so what would work well for the wild card? Let's do ring rows. Infinitely scalable, building your grip strength. Depending upon the angle of the body that you put, you can make ring rows easy or really hard. If your feet are up on a box or something like that, then you are developing serious upper body pulling capacity that will translate beautifully to pull-ups, and then once you learn the technique, to rope climbs as well. And so there's a lot of options covered there. Now there could be a 4th option and a 5th option and another option. Like there could be endless options, which again is why what's more important than providing 28 different options is educating the community, improving everybody's strength and conditioning IQ, and then understanding or letting people know that they're authorized to make good decisions. Because I also don't know, which is why I give 3 different options, who does or doesn't have a rope. Some people just don't have a rope to climb. Now, if you happen to have a rope to climb, you just don't have the ability to climb it yet, then what you're saying, doing, ground to standing on the rope, those are fantastic. Those are excellent. And yes, if you have that piece of gear, by all means use it. You are doing the right thing. You're exactly what I'm hoping happens in the Linchpin community, which is we build fit and intelligent athletes. That makes me so, so happy. That's the entire point. That's what makes Linchpin different as well. So awesome. You're doing great. Keep it up. Let's see. Kevin B. Which gym equipment do you maintenance and how do you know when to do it? By schedule, yearly, monthly, or by memory? For example, I just think it's a bit, I better clean it. Oh man. Kevin, I got a policy here that we're all friends, right? That I'm not going to lie to you. I couldn't tell you the last time I maintenanced anything in my gym, and I've owned everything in there for years and years and years. I've never cleaned a barbell, nothing. Every now and then I turn on the leaf blower and I blow out the gym and the dust and cobwebs get out of there. That's the level of my maintenance. Okay, that's not fair. That's not fair. Actually, this is this is like the only maintenance I've ever done is, unlike the Concept 2 rower, the rail that the seat slides back and forth on. Every now and then, like it should be this beautiful, like silvery chrome looking substance with no blemishes on it, but eventually like it gets these black blemishes from just dirt and sweat and stuff, and they gunk it up. Every now and then I will wipe that down with something to get it shiny again. And when I say every now and then, on the high side, maybe that's twice a year. Other than that, I just go out in the gym and everything works fantastic. So, I don't know, barbells spin great. And if my clean or snatch isn't going how it should, it's probably not my barbell spin, it's probably me. All right, let's see. And then 2 more questions from Kevin B, and then we're good. What is your favorite candy and why is it Reese's Peanut Butter Cups? Reese's Peanut Butter Cups are delicious. Now, JJ, I see very low maintenance as well, yeah. The gym gear, sweeping the mop. My wife is good about cleaning the floor more than I am because she trains some people in the gym, and so she cares about that more. I just go out and work out. My favorite candy? I'm not a candy guy. But that's not to say I don't have a favorite candy, so don't, but Reese's Peanut Butter Cups are fantastic, sure. I like peanut M&Ms. I think those are delicious as well. What am I forgetting? I'm sure I'm just forgetting something right now. Those would be relatively high on the list, but I'm more of a ice cream guy. I see Jason just chimed in ice cream. Yes, I'm more of an ice cream guy, and I'm really I think probably as I get older and older, a baked goods guy. Just wonderful cookies, carrot cake, things like that. I see somebody said cookies. I see Patrick S says Reese's Peanut Butter Cups is the only justifiable candy to eat because there's peanut butter in it, which is protein. Haha, kidding. Oh, Skittles. Somebody said Skittles. I can't do Skittles. They're a bit too much for me. My kids love Skittles. Ooh, I see somebody said Pizookie. Pizookies are fantastic. What a great combination. Pizookie, that might be profoundly high on the list because you're getting the cookie or the brownie or whatever they're making there in a hot skillet, and so it's just delicious and gooey. Then there's ice cream on top of it. In my humble opinion, they never give you enough ice cream. It's like one scoop. It's like, I'm out for a treat night, okay? Don't give me one scoop. Give me 2 or 3 scoops of ice cream on this thing. Let's not mess around. So that would be very high. But my favorite cookie, period, if I had to have one cookie for the rest of my life, though, it might be an M&M cookie. That might be my number one. All respect to a beautifully done chocolate chip, a snickerdoodle, things of that nature. But man, a good M&M cookie is hard to beat. Okay. Final question. How often do you track your heart rate when working out and how? I absolutely never track my heart rate when I work out. I guess that's the short answer. A watch can get in the way, chest strap gets in the way. What other affordable options are there out there? I haven't ever tracked my heart rate, haven't ever felt the need. Everything's going in a great direction without me doing that or worrying about that or tracking that metric. And I'm not saying that it doesn't have value. I'm just saying for me, in all the time that I've spent educating myself, researching myself, interacting with athletes, it's not something that I think is going to make a profound difference in my strength and conditioning. And so I choose not to worry about it, quite frankly. And my intensity is modulated deliberately through pace, loading, if I'm conversational during it and all that kind of good stuff. So I don't have a good option for you, Kevin, but if you are interested in doing that, there are certainly plenty of people in Linchpin that track their heart rate and pay attention to their heart rate and have found some sort of device that they're happy with and works well for their workout. So I would take that question that you posted there in the AMA and post it as a standalone question in the private Facebook group and or in the squads, the Linchpin squad and the BTWB app as well. So, yeah, I think that's that. We got through them all. Not bad. 40 minutes. Questions were fantastic and good. So I hope everybody enjoyed it. As I record this, it's Thursday. It's a rest day. I'm not going to be taking a rest day today. I'm actually going to work out because this weekend, real life, our kids have like 1 billion basketball games. It's borderline stupid how many they have because they play for multiple teams. I guess you could say it's our fault. And the multiple teams both have tournaments. Each kid has like 4 games per team, and they're on 2 different teams, and they both have a tournament. So each kid might play like 8 basketball games this weekend, which means this weekend is going to be nuts. And so I can already see Saturday's workout not happening. And so I think I'm going to work out today. I'll work out tomorrow on Friday. And then when the craziness happens this weekend, I will just embrace the craziness because that's real life. All right, everybody. Have a fantastic day. Thanks for being a part of the Linchpin community, no matter where you are in the world. We will keep making smart decisions. We'll keep telling the truth. We'll keep avoiding nonsense. And we will march into the future with knees, back, and shoulders that don't hurt when you're 70 years old. So that's what we're going to do. All right. Have a good day.